Welcome to Techzine TV.
Hi, and welcome to this new episode of Techzine Talks on Tour. I'm at Atlassian Team in Barcelona this week, and I'm here with Rajeev Rajan.
Yeah.
You're the CTO of Atlassian,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And I just want to sort of quickly walk through especially the AI part of what
Sure.
you're offering, because there's been quite a number of interesting updates over the past year or two.
Sure.
I would say, right?
Yeah.
So, from my perspective, I see that you have at least that's according to my judgment, you have a very realistic view on AI. Would you say that a correct assumption, even though it may be a bit boring now?
Well, I mean, look, views on AI are changing rapidly because there's a lot of change in the state of the art of AI. There's a lot of developments happening every week, every month. So it's moving fast. Our view is it's a positive, for the industry. It's positive for Atlassian. We are therefore, betting big on AI. We have Rovo, which is our AI offering.
What makes it unique? What makes your approach to AI unique? I think that's an interesting.
Yeah. So we are definitely not in the chip business. We're not making GPUs. We're not making LLMs. We are using many LLMs from many different providers, but we believe that we are closest to the end user scenario. Our customers use Jira and use our software to solve problems that they face in their companies. And we are providing that solution, and that we can use AI with the customer data to give them basically a much better solution, right? And so we are focused on the value chain. We are closest to the customer in terms of what the customer.
I think it's interesting to point out as well that you're not necessarily training on the data of the users, right?
We are not.
But that's a very important distinction to make nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Because that makes you maybe not unique. There are probably more companies doing that, but it makes you different from a lot of others, right? Because a lot of other companies are actually trying to get all your data, train on it, and make it useful.
That's right.
Why didn't you go down that route? What's the underlying kind of?
Yeah. I mean, this goes back. We have a set of, we call it responsible AI principles, and we believe that customer data is the customer's data, and we are custodians of it. But we are here to provide customers, the end user use case of like project management with Jira, or document management and collaboration with Confluence. So whatever software you use from Atlassian, we are here to make that work better for you on your own data.
But that begs the question: how do you actually deliver outcomes then? If you don't train on the data of the customers, how do you make sure that you get the right outcomes from AI to your customers?
Yeah, well, we can use the customer data for the customer's benefit. So customers can always say, hey, if I'm doing a search across my data, you can use my data to rank relevant results, right? So customers allow us to use the data for their own benefit.
So, but how do you do that technically? So underlying, I mean, I know that you're very big on the teamwork graph. And that's more than just a knowledge graph, right?
Right.
Maybe explain a little bit more about what it actually is.
That's right. So the teamwork graph, it's a graph of who works with whom on which document at which point in time. Again, this is all the customer's data. But to the extent we know that you are working with another colleague of yours on a particular document or on this interview, or let's say you work with Annie on this interview, we can, through the teamwork graph, give you the time appropriate suggestions for what you can do. In like a few minutes before coming into this interview, Rovo can pop up and tell you that, hey, these are the 3 questions you should ask to G. Right. Yeah. So this is useful for you. And
so I should use it before I actually prepared, because I didn't use it before for preparation. So I should have had. Right?
Yeah.
So you should have used it.
That's right. Yeah. So we are using your own data to help you do a better job.
Yeah, but it's all on the fly, basically, right? So so it's all real time data.
That's right. Right. It's real time, but it's also got the history of all the interactions that happen within an enterprise, right? So if you get Rovo, obviously Rovo understands Confluence and Jira data, but we have also built 80 plus connectors for all your apps. If you're a company that uses Google Docs or Office or Slack or Zoom, we build connectors for all those things. And we bring all that data into the teamwork graph, and we build the right connections so that Rovo can better.
Yeah, but so putting it more concretely, if I search something, I only get access to the data that I have permission.
That's right.
To, right?
So it's your data, whatever.
I cannot search your data.
Yes.
When I search.
Yes.
Is that correct?
What is that?
I cannot search your data.
You cannot search my data. No. When you search, if there's a document I have access to that you don't, you will not see it. Right?
Okay.
So it's permissions aware search, right? We respect your permissions in whatever permissions you set in the documents. and we show you only what you can see.
Okay, but that could also mean that you're limited in the output. That you say, look, if I were allowed to actually also search your data, I may get a better output from the AI. Or is that not how it works?
That's not how it works, because you should not be able to see data that you do not have access to. In any enterprise, you have permissions, you have authorization, right? If there's a sensitive financial report that only the CFO can see or only some people in finance can see, you should not show this data in the search results to other people.
You don't get requests from company to have sort of bring their own models to the data that you have to offer, or because obviously
Yeah, we do get requests from some companies they want to have access to their own models, and we are exploring this right now.
Yeah. Is that something that you see future for? I mean, you're exploring.
Sure.
It,
Yeah.
But
I think
is that something that you see as that it's a role for Atlassian to actually do this, or?
Yes, I think there's a possibility of certain customers who have certain kind of industries where they want to bring their own model, and we are exploring right now if we can go do that. But the vast majority of customers are getting much better results, or getting really good results with the frontier models and the general purpose models that are out there, right? Most of our Rovo features, we have a partnership with OpenAI. We use the GPT model from OpenAI, including GPT-5.
The latest one?
The latest model.
And you all also update as soon as GPT updates?
That's right. As soon as they update, we are using the latest model. We are using many different models. We are using open source models. We're using Claude for coding. So we use different models for different kinds of use cases. Yeah. But we have a open AI. So we have a sort of a AI gateway architecture through which we can access different models for different feature sets. But the main point I'm trying to make is the models are evolving so fast that a majority of our customers can get the latest benefits from the general purpose.
And you make the decisions for the customers, which models you use, right?
So today, that's how it works. Today, if you use an AI feature in Confluence or Rovo or Jira, we are figuring out which model to use that's appropriate for that particular feature. Yeah. In the future, could we go in a route where customers specifically say, use this model or bring your own model? We're exploring that, but that's not the majority use case today.
Is there a case to be made from a sovereignty standpoint, especially in Europe now, right?
Sure,
so a lot of talk about AI factories and all that stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, you will get to that point where you actually need to do it locally as well.
Absolutely. So we have advanced enterprise features. We have done FedRAMP moderate, for example, in the US. We have data, we call it data residency. So if you want your data to be resident in a particular region in Europe or even a country, we can do data residency. We have 11 data residency regions, which was announced in the keynote today. But yes, absolutely, we are in the business of providing enterprises, including customers in Europe and other regions, the kinds of protections and boundaries they need to solve their use case.
But I think for the time being, there's still a lot of growth in the AI that you're doing now, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, it is hyped to a certain extent. Yeah. And not by you, but I have to say. I mean,
sure.
Usually you're quite pragmatic and quite realistic in this.
Yeah.
But so there is still a lot more growth to sort of achieve in this market for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of our mission is to empower teams to unleash their potential, right? Yeah. How do teams of workers work together in a large company, in a small company, to be more productive, to get their jobs done? Our whole business is to produce a system of work that allows you to get work done, right? And AI is only going to supercharge that.
Yeah. So what's your view on the fact that it's still quite sort of lagging behind, right? Because I think it was your research or somebody else's research that said only 4% of companies saw actual sort of company-wide benefits from AI. How does that impact what you do? Is that something that you recognize from your company?
Well, absolutely. I mean, everyone is trying to understand how to use AI to solve real-world problems, right? And we have, for example, in Atlassian, we ourselves have an internal goal to use AI in every department. Obviously, in engineering, since I'm the CTO, we are using AI to write code every day. We use Cursor, we use GitHub Copilot, we use Rovo Dev. We are using everything that you can imagine that's out there with AI, Claude, etc., to supercharge our own software development.
You have an AI first sort of strategy that all the employees actually are supposed to use AI first before they do something, or not? Because you hear something about these things now.
We are experimenting with everything, right? If you see success in something, then the word spreads. Engineers are will easily go to something that actually works, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we see success with something, we go and use that, right?
Yeah.
So we are using it in software development, but more than that, we now have goals inside Atlassian to use it in finance and HR and legal and sales. So we're doing a lot of use cases within our own company where we're using Rovo to an AI effectively to do these jobs better, right?
Yeah.
And the reason that's important for us is because that helps us make our software better for every company in the world, right? But if you look at the broad industry and look at everybody else, people are still trying to understand how can I use AI in different fields to get more productivity, to save costs, to be
Yeah.
more efficient, or to be more creative, right?
Yeah.
But yes, every time there's a technology, it takes some time for the world to adapt and learn and understand. And we are still early in this whole adoption.
Do you feel that a lot of companies maybe started at the wrong level? Or maybe, because I get the impression, like with all big changes, that there's a C-level commitment. We want to do this, but they don't really understand what it is that they want to do. Is that, have you seen that happen as well? And maybe,
Yes.
maybe we should start from the bottom up instead of.
Well, as I talk to other CTOs and other leaders in the world, I find that it's a combination of tops down and bottoms up. You definitely need the C-level commitment.
Yeah,
When the
sure.
C-level is not committed, and if they don't want to like make some change, it's hard. At the same time, it's not that the C-level folks know exactly what needs to happen.
Mhm.
So they can issue some mandates, they can, definitely talk about it, but you need people bottoms up to work on this, right? And sometimes what you need to do is get the C-level folks to understand what is working bottoms up and then give more energy to that, right? And so it's a combination of things. And
Yeah, but there's also been a lot of FOMO going on, right? So we need to do something with AI. So this is, and then the C-level person says, well, we need to use AI, and then have no clue how to use it.
I think it's a whole spectrum. There are some cases like that. There are many other cases where I'm seeing C-level folks using AI themselves and really setting an example of how you can use AI to do things differently. And then there are companies where they are recognizing a lot of grassroots programs that are working well and saying, oh, look at those groups of people. They're using it really well. Let's spread the word. Let's make sure that we adopt that more broadly across the organization.
Yeah.
So you have the full spectrum of people in different stages of like adoption.
But is it imperative to actually try to start small-ish inside organizations and not necessarily try to do the to sort of go in as big as possible? And where
I think both are important. The small experiments are important because you start small, you see what works, and you give some oxygen to it. But also it is important for C-level folks and for leaders to say, hey, we are going to make a big bet on AI, right? Some companies are setting goals, saying we will have a productivity win of X, or we will have an efficiency win of Y, or we will do so many projects with AI. I think those goals also help the small things happen, because if you don't have the top level goals, it doesn't give permission or it doesn't empower people in the organization to go try things, right?
Yeah, but also, obviously, I mean, and that also refers to, I think, something that Atlassian does themselves as well, right? So with your the collections and goals and all that stuff. So the I think the strategy collection, I think it is, right? Yeah. But setting goals is one of the hardest things to do, right? How do you quantify those? How do you make sure that if you're investing in AI, you actually get an ROI on it? And how do you measure that? And those are very important questions you need to answer first, right?
Right.
If you want to get going.
Yeah. Look, AI is not going to do everything for you, right? Like you as a company, you have to decide what your goals are, right? But once you set the goals and you create your projects in Jira and you set everything up in your system of work, Rovo can help you understand what progress you're making. Rovo can do a lot of things for you automatically. Like in my keynote today, I showed how Rovo can take a new idea, put it into JPD, make a project in Jira, and then even write code for you, right? So Rovo and AI can do a lot of things for you, but it's not just, it does everything for you. Like you have to sit down and decide, what do you want to build? What are the goals? And how do you use Rovo and AI for that?
Because there's also already a lot of automation in there, right? So you are automating quite a number of things already, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
In that instance, in the example you gave.
With Rovo, we build search, chat, and agents, right? So with search, you can search your entire company for whatever you want based on permissions and things like that. Not only for Jira and Confluence data, but also for third-party connectors and things like that. You can chat in context. If you're in Confluence or Jira, or just you want to chat with Rovo, you can chat with Rovo and ask questions, and you get back, just like with ChatGPT, you get back answers. Or you can build agents, right? We have some out-of-the-box agents, and then you can build some custom agents. And these agents can do actual work for you, right? So it's really up to our creativity and imagination as to how we use AI to solve problems.
But still be realistic, I think, is an
Be realistic, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just like with the internet, just like with the mobile wave, cloud computing, with every technological shift, the possibilities are quite a bit, but the adoption will always take some time.
How do you see so what's your vision towards the future? As finally to wrap up this discussion, when do you think? Because I've heard many people say that the impact of AI is overstated in the short term, but understated in the long term. Right? Is that something?
That is roughly accurate for anything, I would say, right?
But
there are things that seem more promising in the short term, but over the long term, absolutely, AI will have a profound effect on society.
Yeah, but obviously, the real question here is how long will that long term be, right? Because I think we've been the industry itself has been overpromising over the past couple of years. I'm not saying that Atlassian did, but I mean the industry as a whole.
Mhm.
When do you think we will see realistically we will see real broad adoption? So the 4% I talked about earlier become the 96% that is now still not seeing it, right? So the impact of AI.
It's hard to predict these things. All I can say is every day, every month, there's huge advances in AI. There's a lot of people adopting AI technologies, including Rovo. And I think we are making tremendous progress. Now, when does 4% become 96%? Your guess is as good as mine. If you would guess it correctly, we would be maybe in a different business but we're not in the business of predicting.
If I knew, I would be doing something else. Yeah,
that's right.
Making more money.
That's right, exactly. But all I can say is that the rate of progress is faster than I have seen in my lifetime in any technology.
And and finally, before you had this job, you worked for Meta, right? So
sure.
What did you take from that to here? Maybe that's an interesting thing.
I mean, look, Meta had, and still has a world-class engineering team, lots of investment in AI. So definitely lots of good, best practices. I worked at Microsoft before that. So when I came to Atlassian, Atlassian has big aspirations and big goals, going from being a dev tools Jira company to really broadening that across tech and non-tech, for all kinds of teams, all sizes of companies. Yeah. So one of my goals coming as CTO is how do we build a world-class engineering team? And we have made a tremendous progress on that journey to get Atlassian's engineering team to be world-class, which it is today. But on the notion of AI,
because that was probably one of the reasons why they wanted to, right? Because Meta has a very good AI team as well.
Sure. But Atlassian had a good AI team as well. All companies were doing AI ML. In Atlassian also, we were doing AI ML for a long time. In Confluence and Jira, when you look at different things, it was built using AI ML. The change that happened in November of 2022 was the emergence of large language models. That was a profound shift. Everybody was doing AI ML before that as well. Yeah. But to get a model that understands with 175 billion parameters language and can converse with human beings almost like a human being, that was the big breakthrough, right? And so even Meta, Microsoft, everybody had to react to that. Atlassian, all of us are reacting since November of 22. Everyone is trying to figure out, okay, how do we use LLMs specifically and generative AI specifically to do things that we could not do before?
Yeah. All right.
So I would just say that my experience at Meta with AI was more pre-gen.
Yeah, because you joined in 2022, July 22. So May, whatever. Yeah. So you just before. What was that? Was it a big? I mean, a lot of people think it was a big surprise, but obviously insiders already knew that this was coming because there were previous versions.
Not necessarily. I think even the people and the practitioners were surprised, with sort of the fact that you could reach this tipping point where a model becomes intelligent enough to be almost human-like. I mean, the AI field has been around for a long time, and there have been AI winters and all kinds of things. And even the AI practitioners, I don't think imagined that breakthrough would happen, right? And so I think the whole world was taken a little bit by surprise. Even I would say the AI researchers probably, maybe a year before they could see the glimpse of it and so on. But that moment when it happened, I think everybody was.
I think one of the interesting effects has been that also traditional AI has gotten a boost off of recently developed. And I think, especially the deterministic AI always used to be a bit of a dark art.
Yeah.
But actually, I think the non-deterministic stuff that came after is even darker. It's an even darker art, but it also boosted. Yeah.
like pattern matching, machine learning. Yeah.
Statistical analysis, all that stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, very good neural networks to the point where they can almost be human-like and do reasoning and converse in.
We can have another complete discussion on that because I don't agree with that. But that's because I'm because of my background. But that's we can talk about next time, right? All right. Thank you for now. It was a pleasure joining you.
Pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, Rajeev. Thank you. Can you turn it off?
Thank you for watching Techzine TV, the channel about enterprise technology that brings you IT insights and analyses from events all around the globe. We cover everything, everywhere. Visit techzine.eu for more written in-depth articles and analysis, or keep watching techzine.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels and share your favorite videos with your colleagues. We'll see you soon.